it's just beyond my comprehension that we are seeing these mass murders happen again and again and again. And as I have said, we have got to get the political will to do everything we can to keep people safe. You know, I know there is a way to have sensible gun control measures that help prevent violence, prevent guns from getting into the wrong hands, and save lives. And I am committed to doing everything I can to achieve that.
All right. You know, it's interesting. Neither her nor Obama, and I'll just focus on them right now because the same is true for everyone on the left, ever has a direct proposal. They say background checks, but that wouldn't have stopped any one of the mass shootings that they're talking about. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, Jonathan Tobin, senior editor at Commentary Magazine, and Nomiki Konst, founder and executive director of the Accountability Project and host of the Accountability Podcast. And she likes me because I say her first name correctly. All right, let me start with you, Jonathan. You know, Mike Huckabee was with us in the previous segment, and he said, you know, Mr. President, what is your solution? You keep coming out and saying the same thing, yet the laws you propose wouldn't have stopped one single one of these shootings.
You're absolutely right, Steve. And I've written this before. We've talked about it before. If we're going to talk about the real issue here, we have to get down to the essentials. Every time there's a tragedy like this, President Obama comes out and he politicizes it. And he said that himself last night, shamelessly. But the fact is, every proposal that we've been presented about gun control wouldn't have stopped a single one of these crimes. There's only one thing that would do it, that would make the United States, like Europe, like Australia, like other countries where gun crimes don't happen as often, and that if we repealed the Second Amendment. It's time for liberals to own up to what they really want.
Right. What about you, Nomiki? Nomiki, is that what you want? And if not, what specific law would you propose that could have stopped any of these shootings?
Sure. For instance, if we had limited high-capacity magazines and banned military-purpose assault weapons, we wouldn't have any of these tragedies. Time out.
Wait, Nomiki, wait a minute. This guy could have come in there with a handgun, shot 6 people, and then reloaded and shot 6 more.
Well, that wouldn't have happened.
No, why not?
A handgun can only carry so many bullets. You wouldn't have 20 people hit and 15 deaths. You know, I live down the street from a mass shooting in Tucson, Arizona. My family collects guns. My mom was endorsed by the NRA, and we are all in favor, as most NRA members are, of sensible gun laws. 90% of Americans want sensible gun laws. So we get a proliferation of guns off the streets. The problem isn't mental health. The problem is that we have free and easy access to guns. That's the issue.
That's the Second Amendment, free and easy access to guns.
That's not what the Second Amendment says at all.
And Nomiki, as I said, background checks would not have stopped. Background checks would not have stopped one single one. Jonathan, the fact of the matter is, you know, if he couldn't have a big assault weapon, and I don't know what he used. They said he had pistols. They say he had a rifle. There's nobody in there because the left is so crazy that even the 1 or 2 security guards for an entire community college weren't armed. That's why he had time. Even if he came in with 1 pistol, he could have done all this damage.
Yeah, well, of course, President Obama spoke, as he always does, without even knowing the facts, as most of the people who opined quickly about this without knowing the facts. You're right. All of these issues, whether we restrict ammunition, it comes down to the fact that there are as many guns in this country as there are people. Now, you may think it's a good thing. Some people may think it's a bad thing. But you're not getting rid of it by any of these marginal measures that wouldn't affect a single thing. If we want to have a debate about guns in this country, and to talk in these generalized ways, the way Nancy Pelosi does, the way Barack Obama does, about stopping about stopping the availability of guns for bad guys, you have to make it impossible for people to have guns.
Right. Last I looked, Jonathan,
Nomiki, I don't think it's what America wants.
Guys, last I looked, heroin and all these cocaine and all these drugs were illegal, and they're all over the streets too. Let me switch topics, Nomiki. Barack Obama had to know, because he's president, and we found out like 5 minutes after he spoke yesterday, that these people were asked, "Are you Christian?" And if they said yes, they were shot in the head. Imagine if it had been, and Obama said nothing. Imagine if it had been, "Are you Muslim?" And they shot them in the head. I think Obama would have still be speaking at that press conference and complaining about it.
You can come up with all these proposed ideas. The evidence still hasn't come in. There's still an investigation.
No. This is pretty much established from eyewitnesses that you're denying that he asked, "Are you Christian?" and then shot him.
You're politicizing an issue before
I'm politicizing. Obama said we should politicize it. I'm doing what your president wants us to.
Whether you're Christian, Muslim, non-extremist, extremist, mentally ill, or a member of a gang, we have too many guns on the streets, and in states, now I don't want to get into cities, but in states where there are stricter gun laws, where there's stricter universal, background checks,
it's
there's lower gun-related violence.
Wait a minute, Nomiki, you don't want to get into cities? You mean like D.C. and Chicago, where they have the strictest gun laws, no guns allowed, and they have mass killings every single weekend? Oh, that's why you don't want to get into it? Because it's a failure.
Okay.
Jonathan, what about the fact that... Nomiki, hold it. Jonathan, what about the fact that he didn't reference the Christian aspect of it?
Right. You raise a good point. When the tragedy happened in Arizona that you were just referring to...
We got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
That was quickly politicized, and it was blamed on Sarah Palin. It was blamed on conservatives. That was wrong. It would be wrong to blame liberals who attack Christians because of their stance on gay marriage for the same thing. But we know that if this had been a less fashionable group than Christians being singled out, that's the discussion that we would be having
Absolutely.
today.
Just like with the church in South Carolina, they blame the Confederate flag and other stuff. Nomiki, Jonathan, got to go. Wish we could stay. John Lott is next. Don't go away.